Good morning, guys. Happy Monday. Let's do the second half of my infertility story. My FET with the twins, pregnancy with them. That's pretty much it. A little life update, not crazy. Jake is out of town this week for work, so if I seem sad or just kind of like out of it, that's why I really hate when he's gone. And that's also why I didn't really post a lot of TikToks this weekend, because I just wanted to spend time with Jake before he left. Little recap, we did IVF to get pregnant with my oldest son, Sawyer. After that first round, we had 3 embryos that were frozen. We got pregnant with our miracle babe, Weston, because we were told that we had like a 0.01% chance of getting pregnant on our own, but we did. But after Weston was about 18 months old, we decided it was time to go back and do our second round. We wanted to have our kids close together and have them all grow up really close in age, and then also just pregnancy was really hard for me and I didn't like it. I wanted to get it over with, which sounds terrible, but it's true. I don't know if it's because the second round was so smooth or if it was because it was kind of traumatic and I blocked a lot of it out, but I don't remember much of our FET. And we had 3 embryos left that were like the highest grade that you could possibly be, so we knew that we had a good chance of multiples. My hair started falling out like crazy. I was really depressed because I felt very bald, hence my first round of getting extensions. We did our FET. We signed like a mound of paperwork, probably like this thick, because we did implant 3 embryos. The fertility company did not want any liability fall back on them. I remember praying so vigorously for each one of their little lives. Like, I knew that triplets would be extremely difficult, but I also looked at each one of them the same way I looked at Sawyer and Weston and thought that there was no way that I wanted to give up knowing each one of them. So even though it would have been crazy, that is what I prayed for. The transfer went really smooth. I remember driving in to get my blood drawn and finding out the day that we were pregnant. I was just over the moon excited. And then 10 days later or so, we had our first ultrasound. I was really, really excited to be having twins. I did grieve the loss of that one embryo that we didn't have, and I always felt throughout that whole pregnancy that I could still feel their soul with me. I remember having a bunch of dreams that like were pregnant with 3 boys and that I named the 3rd boy Jeremiah. The same day that we had that ultrasound where I found out we were having twins, I came home, we were so excited, and then I started gushing blood. Absolutely terrifying. And they put me on modified bed rest. Ultimately, what we found out was that I had like a blood blister or a clot in my uterus that had to heal. There was another time around 15 weeks that I started gushing blood again, and that we went into the ER hoping to be able to see the twins, making sure that they were still okay, and thankfully they were. Jake really had to step in and be like the full-time parent to Weston and Sawyer because I couldn't lift, I couldn't do laundry, I couldn't really do anything. After that last trip to the ER, the bleeding finally stopped, and I was able to kind of like move about normal life again, but only for about 4 weeks, because then around 20 weeks I started contracting and my cervix was shortening. They didn't have to do a cerclage or anything, just enough that if I stopped doing any real physical activity like walking around, it would get better. I was placed back on modified bed rest for the rest of my pregnancy. I spent a few weekends in the hospital, around 24 weeks and 28 weeks, where we're initially told that the twins were boy-girl, and then Eli decided to close his legs for about 5 weeks because I was being monitored so closely at my doctor's office. Once Eli finally opened his legs, Jake was not at that doctor's appointment. It was like, oh my gosh, it's another boy. I got to go home and tell him. I was a little sad, I'd say for a couple days, but now I wouldn't have it any other way. Like, the 4 of them just run in a little pack of dudes. Hair looks pretty good today. At 30 weeks, I was hospitalized for contractions. 31 weeks, 4 days, I was released. It was the day before Mother's Day. That night around midnight, I woke up contracting so hard. My stomach hurt so bad. I was bleeding, and it was Mother's Day. I remember saying to Jake, like, I don't want to give birth to them today. I'm not ready yet. And he was like, I don't think you have a choice. I think they're coming. And he was right. They originally thought I was only 3 centimeters dilated, but I had a student nurse, and then they checked me an hour later and I was 7 centimeters dilated. So I don't really know what happened there, but I think I was a little bit more dilated than they initially thought. But then they prepped me for an emergency C-section because Eli was breech and Dallas was transverse. They were the first babies born on Mother's Day in our hospital. All of that to say, I am extremely thankful for fertility doctors, for IVF. I feel like God created people to discover those ways of helping people get pregnant so that way we could create families. I think there is a biblical, responsible way to do it, and that's just what we tried to do. I know that it can be like kind of controversial, but that was our journey, and that's what we felt was right after praying through the whole thing. And yeah, that is our fertility story. Now I'm gonna get ready. We have kind of a crazy day. I have to grocery shop. We've got a new roof coming on the house. I hope you guys are having a good Monday. Love you, bye.